who this lady is doing all this talking. Hello, welcome to the Carla Palmer Show, you guys. I am Carla Palmer. I am your host for today, the Carla Palmer Show. We are on episode 8 of 10. So this season, we've got 10 episodes lined up, and we've already done 7. Today is the 8th one. We've had a lot of really great guests. If you haven't caught the broadcast before, then go back and watch some of those broadcasts. Look at the titles. You'll see what they're about. Click on one that may resonate with you. If you have time, watch them all. I try to make the show as succinct as possible. So it's a 40-minute show. So if you got 40 minutes, listen to it on the way to work. You don't necessarily have to watch it, but listen to it on the way to work. I think that you will find nuggets in each episode that really speak to you and will get you to thinking about something differently, maybe change your perspective. We've talked about money. We've talked about health. We've talked about people doing great things in the community. So I think you'll find some things that really resonate with you. So I'm Carla Palmer. I'm also known as Miss GYSB, and GYSB stands for Get Your Sexy Back. It's a movement that I started a while ago to really help people get inspired about living their best life and reaching optimal wellness. And so that's what the movement was about. It was about reaching optimal wellness in a lot of different areas in your life, because optimal wellness, reaching that level, is not just about fitness. It's not just about eating right. It's all encompassing there. So there are a lot of different areas that people need to work on in order to reach optimal wellness. And so this is just a continuation of that. The Carla Palmer Show is a continuation of helping people to reach optimal wellness. So I bring really great guests on for you guys. And today I want to invite our guest to sit in the chair so we can get a look at who this guy is. You guys are going to really love our guest today. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Carla. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy that you've taken the time to be on this show today. The topic today, we're going to be talking about managing emotional eating, you guys. Jason is an expert in that. And so I just want to take some time to share with you guys who Jason Winters is, okay? Who is Jason Winters? Jason Winters is a certified holistic health coach and EFT practitioner. He graduated from the esteemed Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and by getting to the root of food addiction, binge eating, and cravings, Jason's personal journey to better health has him living 90 pounds lighter. You guys, 90 pounds. 90 pounds lighter and 1,000 pounds stronger. So because he struggled for so long, his focus is to support those who want to achieve sustainable weight loss and be at peace with their bodies. Jason is an impassioned health coach who is determined to support the mental and emotional transformation of thousands. Jason, again, welcome to the show. Happy to have you here to talk about emotional eating, to talk about your journey with emotional eating, if you've experienced that, and just to share some tips with other people, how they may be able to combat some of the emotional eating that they are or have experienced. So can we start off by saying what emotional eating is?
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. I just want to throw that piece in because this is something that I just love to talk about. And so emotional eating, I'll start by saying emotional eating it's fairly normal.
Okay.
People would think that it's not, but certain things are culturally connected. So when people say things like I have a taste for this or a craving for that, it's not really until the food hits your taste buds that you have a taste for something. Like you can't taste it until it hits your tongue.
Okay.
But the feeling or the emotion that's connected to whatever the event. So, for instance, if you go to a wedding, you may have a taste for wedding cake because the cake is there, or you're having an expectation that wedding cake is going to be there. And it's nothing wrong, right? But the emotional eating, as we're going to be talking about, is the actual overeating.
Okay.
So when you're trying to get rid of or relieve negative emotions, whether it's sadness or grief, maybe there's a relationship strain or even a breakup, divorce, work stress. It could be depression, anxiety. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
When we're reaching for comfort foods and you have that connection there between that particular feeling and then that comfort food, that's where it can become a problem because they're overeating.
Okay.
Then there's also like the less considered emotional eating, that people don't think of. It could be positive emotions. So celebratory events. We talked
Right.
about things, but other celebrations and parties, and you're having a good time. But they also come with their own form of pressure. So anytime we're using food to cope or anything like that, if it's overeating, if it's a dependency on food, and you feel like it's a loss of control as it relates to what we're eating, whether it's negative or positive emotion, it's considered emotional eating, and so that's where we want to kind of be careful of that part of it.
Okay. And so we're talking about emotional eating and like food cravings. How do we recognize when it's a food craving and not maybe we're just hungry and we want a certain kind of food?
Yeah. So again, it's when you can't have the control. Like
Okay.
I cannot do without it. And maybe I'm good for that particular day, but the next day I'm all over it.
Okay.
So I think that's the biggest piece is the control piece. Like if you're having it and you want it and you're enjoying it and it's fine, that's all good. But when you feel like it's like you literally can't control it, you have no control. Um, like I'm all in. Like I nothing's stopping me. That's kind of when you know that that is bad. That
Mhm.
getting out of control.
So, looking at emotional eating, looking at food cravings, a lot of it is, I would say, and this I could be completely wrong. A lot of it I feel like is addiction, especially when it comes to sugar, because sugar is in just about everything.
Right.
And so, when you start to talk about overcoming emotional eating and being able to be in control of food cravings, how do we beat sugar? How is that even a thing that can be achieved with it being in everything that we eat?
So it's very interesting you would ask that. So initially my coaching has kind of evolved, right? So
Hmm.
at first when I started out, if anybody had seen my first website, it was all about sugar. It was, breaking sugar addiction. I even had a program, what is it? The sugar, I forget what it was called, but it was all about sugar. And
Okay.
I changed over to mindset and weight loss because there was a huge difference there. Personally, having childhood obesity, I thought that it was the sugar. If I could break the sugar and stop eating sugar, everything would be fine. I would lose the weight, and everything would be good. But really, it was the root causes that I didn't even know. I didn't even know there was a root cause. I thought if I could cut the sugar, it would all be good. But it has
Yeah.
very little to do with sugar. And even though sugar is addictive, much like a drug, it's the reason that we look to sugar that has more to do with the mindset, right? So even if you're using that comparison of sugar with the drug, what is that drug serving people for? What is
Right.
sugar serving? And so that's what we need to figure out. What is at the root cause? Why am I even depending on it in the first place? And so I had to make that shift because I knew that Google has all the information, right? You Google and you get the top 20 diets or what have you, pick one. They'll all
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
It will all work.
Yeah. Until you're not doing it anymore.
Yeah. I wanted a diet and that's what I noticed my clients. They're like, what's the diet? I want to know, but diets are, they have their place, right? But oftentimes when they're abused, just like sugar is abused or any other addictive thing is abused, it left me powerless. And so it
Yeah.
left other people powerless. It leaves them with more negative emotions because you just can't stick to it. And so it's the vicious cycle. And so when you realize that, oh, it's not the sugar, or it's not this particular thing that I'm eating, it's actually the deeper craving.
Yeah. So when people come to work with you, because you have your tribe of people who follow you, people who coach with you, when they work with you, what do they learn about themselves and what have you learned? And if you feel like sharing a little bit more about your personal story, what have you learned about yourself as well?
Yeah, so I would say that for me, what I learned is the root cause, right?
Okay.
And it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that we have going on, and it's because it's built up over time. So the older we get, the more layers we have, right? So I started to learn the connection between what was what were the things that I ate as a child that linked to what I'm eating now, or the things
Okay.
I crave now, or what was missing emotionally as a child that I'm craving now. So those were some of the things that I had to come to the realization. And a lot of times we don't want to really think about that stuff. We just want to kind of push that down. But what what we resist, it persists.
Right.
So we can try to shove all those feelings down all we want, but until we take the time to learn about who we are, instead of focusing on what food or what detox or what, what's the driving factor
Yeah.
on the root causes, we're just going to keep spinning, spinning, spinning. And so that's what happened with me. And so when I'm working with my clients, I'm trying to help them to quickly realize that, and it's a process because they're not accustomed. This is not a very conventional way of approaching weight loss, is to see, okay, what are the root causes? And so that's what we do day one. We're really digging deep to find out, what is this emotion? What are you feeling? Why are you feeling it? And people think that it's like, therapy, but it's very, very different than therapy, because we're focusing on what is this that's causing you to eat right now, like literally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what my focus is on, myself and my journey that I'm still on,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody who's in my group coaching programs or one-to-one. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about helping people get to the root cause of why they're eating the way that they are and why they're binge eating, what do you do when I'm sure like sometimes people cry and there are like all of these emotions that come up right when you're having these sessions with them? What do you do with that? How does that work?
Yeah, so I use EFT, which is emotional freedom techniques, and the basics of it is that it's a way to reduce stress.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. So if you can recognize where that food craving is coming from, and it is tricky, it takes patience. You have to learn from that moment, like, what is the craving and why am I craving this, so that you can be prepared for the next time. So if somebody's coming and they have all of those emotions, we have to just kind of unpackage that. I call it reverse engineering a craving.
Okay.
Like, what is it that you're craving? Sometimes it's the fact that we have to forgive ourselves for having something that we vowed that we wouldn't have again.
Right.
I promise this is my last time, or this is Monday it's starting, or
you're right. We always starting on Monday, right?
This is it, you know what I mean? But it's not gonna be that easy. If it were that easy, we would have done it a long time ago, right? So first, it's like forgiving yourself. That's sometimes the biggest thing, right? And then learn to notice when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling excited, when you're feeling emotional. Remember, we just talked about sometimes it's the celebrations that kind of lead us to a craving, right? It's my mind is expecting this because I have this feeling or this
right.
emotion. Or when I'm feeling tired, why am I feeling tired? Am I not getting enough sleep? Feeding my body what it actually needs. You know what I mean? So whenever somebody's coming in and they're crying or they're very emotional, that's fine, right? We just need to unpackage it. What is it? What's at the bottom of this, so that we can get to the root cause. And then you'll start to know when you need a hug.
Okay.
You might need intimacy, or maybe it's love or friendship. You need a day off or a social media break.
Right.
Prayer, meditation, something else to satisfy that craving in advance of the food craving. So if we can satisfy the real craving, the life craving, what our body really needs, then your body won't even want the food. It actually rejects the food in the first place. When we eat sugar or a lot of overdo it on cakes and stuff, we feel sick. You know what I mean? So our bodies don't want it anyway. It really wants the life craving that we're really having.
Well, so when you work with your clients and you talk about EFT, and was it called emotional freedom tapping? What's it called? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So when you're doing this work, do you also incorporate discussions about nutrition dense food and making sure that clients understand how to eat and how to make sure that they are not malnourished, right? Because a lot of times we reach for sugary things because we haven't eaten right. We haven't fueled our bodies with proper nutrition. So are those some of the things that you also discuss with your clients so that they're educated in that area as well?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We talk about food, right? Because food is important, and there's so much confusion around food too.
Right.
So it's important to talk about food. It's just that it is, honestly, it's secondary, because intuitively we kind of know what's healthy and what's not healthy. We kind of know, like, if somebody puts before you a piece of cake and an apple, you may be drawn to the cake, that's fine, but logically, you know that the
Yeah.
apple was probably a better choice, or the fruits,
Right.
vegetables are a better choice. So it's not a matter of us not knowing. We're intelligent people, right?
Yeah.
I think the thing is what when we have the stress around it and we can't make that choice logically, we're making an emotional decision. And so trying to help people to really see what is it that I need? Why is it that I'm not prioritizing my health?
Yeah.
And I'm having this instead. Once we get to that root cause, then we can kind of unpackage things, as I mentioned. The other thing about food is okay. So I mentioned that people already kind of know intuitively what to eat, but once we get rid of the emotional parts, then we can start to understand like why we're overeating, and then when we're overeating, and what my food choices are and why. Because
Yeah.
like with my instance, a lot of stuff has to do with childhood. Like
Hmm.
when I got out of school, what was provided for me, or those feelings that you have. It's like if you really assess the foods that you're really, really attracted to, you'll start
Yeah.
to notice that, wow, this has a place. This has a place in my life, whether it be long, long time ago or
Yeah.
years ago. It's something that's like, man, I keep going back to the same thing.
Yeah.
With that emotion. Like I'm telling you, if you guys do that, you'll see that there is a connection. There's a link.
Yeah. I'm currently, I'm gonna tell on myself.
Yeah.
I am currently addicted to Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
I will not lie. I am addicted to Raisin Bran, and I know I shouldn't purchase it. But I say, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and get some groceries. Oh, my son likes Raisin Bran too. I'm gonna get some, and I'm not gonna eat it. And I find myself, I'll eat some Raisin Bran in the morning, knowing I should not have that because it's nothing but sugar. And then before bed, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna eat a cookie, but I'll get some Raisin Bran.
That's a Raisin Bran, exactly. I love
And I remember now that you're talking about that, it was my grandmother's favorite cereal. And she would let us have some of her Raisin Brans sometimes as a treat.
Mm-hmm.
And so, now that we're talking about that, that's why I love Raisin Bran so much. And it's that one kind,
Yes.
right? Kellogg's Raisin Bran. I love it. I love it, and I need to stop buying it. But I want you to kind of, I don't know if you want to give an example of what, EFT is, because we mentioned it, but people may not really know what that means, emotional freedom tapping. What is that? What is it supposed to do really, like in the physical sense?
Yeah, for sure. So emotional freedom techniques, it's also called tapping. So basically what you do is you have certain points on the body that you tap, and I'll kind of demonstrate some now. So on the side of the hand is one point, on the top of the head is another point, the side of the eye is one point, under the eye, under the nose, on the chin point, on the chest, and then also under the arm. So there's some other points too, but those are basically the main 9 points. Now, if you're familiar with acupuncture or acupressure,
Yes.
Acupuncture uses the same methodology. Basically, you have your meridian lines that run through your body, various points, and then when they put the needles in those certain points on the body, it's releasing the tension or releasing the stress, right? So that the energy can flow. Because whenever you have in EFT, we use this professional term called a Z, right? It means that basically you have, it's not that professional, but basically you have something that happened in your life that caused trauma to the body.
Okay.
It could be anything. It could be a car accident. It could be something for one person that is very traumatic, but for another person, they say, not so big deal, right? So a car accident, like I have a friend who had a car accident. She cannot drive on the highway.
Yeah.
But the people have accidents all the time on the highway, and then they're driving again after they've healed up. So for her, it was a trauma to her body that causes her to physically not now have a phobia or physically not be able to drive on the highway.
So she has PTSD pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that did not happen without this event in her life. And so when you have that type of energy stored in your body, it leads to sickness, it leads to illness, it leads to cravings, it leads to so much. When we can release that energy, from our body, then we don't have that anymore. And so when you're tapping on these specific points, it actually releases, it's the endpoints of those meridian lines. So with acupuncture, you're using the needles. With tapping, you're not using the needles. And they both have their place, but I love tapping because I can do it anytime. I don't have needles, at work with me. If there's a stressful situation, I can just get to tapping, and it literally reduces the stress immediately. So the stress around the craving will help you to explore. When you're tapping actually helps you to explore what is the real root cause, because now I can reduce the stress around that. I can think clearer to understand, oh, you know what? This is what this is all about.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's so much to tapping. It's actually amazing. It's phenomenal, but that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah. I like the thought of it, because number one, for me, sometimes if you really just take a step back, like if someone brings donuts to the office and everybody's like, I always use this example. Oh my gosh, there's donuts in the kitchen. Oh, they brought Donut Friend. Donut Friend are these like amazing vegan donuts that are like $4 each.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, and sometimes the CEO will get like Donut Friend so everybody can have it, because we have some vegans who are in the office. But anyway, so yeah, we have donuts in the kitchen. And so if you sit there for a second and not just get up and run and get a donut and really process through, like, okay, is that what my body needs right now? Have I had a donut before? Yes, I've had a donut before. Do I need another donut right now? Probably not. Like, if you just take some time to process through why you want to get up and run and get a donut, or maybe do some of the tapping that you're talking about, I can see how that would really work. Now, I will ask you this. Do people think you crazy?
Absolutely. When I was studying EFT, that was one of the first things they were like, it's this weird, crazy thing
that
people were doing. And the idea, hopefully, is that more people will learn about tapping and start using it. Like, it's great when people are having anxious moments. Even that scenario that you talked about with the donut in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
The thing is we have stress around food. We have a lot of stress around food. So when we have that stress around food, we need to reduce that stress around the food. So if you're sitting there, if somebody offers you a donut and you say, "Oh, thanks," and you enjoy the donut, that may not be so bad. But if I know I shouldn't have this donut. And then you have all of this anxiety and all of this story around it. That's how you know it's an issue. It's okay. Right? You're not having, you might have the issue around a salad too. Sometimes people get emotional, like, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to force themselves. But the point is that we want to get away from that. Like, we don't want to have guilt after we've eaten food. Like, who wants to be guilty about what they ate, or resisting, or having a constant struggle around it? Now, EFT is so powerful because it just reduces all that stress and allows you to make decisions and be comfortable with the decisions that you make around your food. Yeah.
I want to open the floor to questions, just to be sure people have an opportunity so that we don't run out of time. Chatone is here. She says hello. Mario is here. Depression and overeating are cousins for most of us. Mm-hmm. Very, very true. I had someone said had a question. So if emotions are released during your session, that's actually a good thing. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
If I can give just kind of a little bit to answer that question, the way that it's so many different things. Two things I just want to say real quick. When you think about energy in the body, just to help people to understand how this energy works. Mm-hmm. Because I was just kind of like, when I first started, doing tapping, I was just like, well, how does this whole energy thing work? If you've ever had goosebumps, right? Think about the reasons that you might get a goosebump or get goosebumps. It could be a movie that you're watching. It could be the sound of some beautiful music.
Right.
It could be the temperature, but nobody physically touched you, right? It was something inside of you. It was an emotion evoked. It was a feeling that you had, right? And so if you can kind of carry that same thought to the way that we process our emotions around food, very, very similar. It's like I can see something, or the temperature can change, and now I want apple pie because it's
fall, or chili, right?
And it's like, this is the season for apple pie. This is season for pumpkins. This is the season for whatever it is that, it's like get to the root of it. Like, what is it? Oh, in your case, my grandmother, it just reminds me of her. And if you have a family member who's no longer alive and that food reminds you of them, it's just it's like, the food is keeping you safe. It's keeping you, and instead of thinking like, oh, that's such a bad food. No, kind of thank that food. That food is what kept you from having a nervous breakdown. It's like, this food gave me the comfort that I needed, but now I can have another choice.
Yeah.
Instead of using that as a comfort.
Yeah, this is such an interesting topic, because even now, like, if there are like those little miniature candy bars, like they pass out for Halloween, I can pretty much pass up the candy bars unless there's a Baby Ruth in there. And now that we're talking, one of the reasons, or the reason why I can't pass up the Baby Ruth, is because that was me and my dad's like favorite candy bar. And my dad passed away in 2016, but now I'm seeing like that's why you always get that candy. I cannot say no to that. So maybe I need to do some
absolutely. In fact, I hear people, oh, I can't give this up. Okay, that means something. When you really can't, like capital can't, something, it's like, okay, that has a different connection. Yeah,
it's not like, oh, I just want that. It's like, no, I gotta have that one.
Yeah,
that's me and my daddy. That was our thing. After school, he'd be like, "Baby, you want some candy?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I want some candy."
Yeah.
We would get that Baby Ruth, and we would tear that Baby Ruth up. So, I get it.
Just call it. If it was about the sugar, we would just get sugar out the bag.
This is true.
It's a specific sugar, a specific brand.
Yeah.
The name, it's the color, it's the smell,
yes,
look, it's the size, it's everything. It's got me.
Oh my goodness! Oh, I absolutely love this topic. So you guys, if you have any questions, please let me know so that I can ask Jason the question. Rebecca's here. She said, so beautifully explained. You are doing such a great job of explaining like why we pick certain things or why we do certain things, our behaviors around food. Let's talk some more about the non-scale victories that you celebrate with your clients. And so people understand really what that means, because we depend so much on the scale to tell us how we're doing about things, like how is our weight loss journey going? And it really doesn't know the full story. So I think it's really important to address the non-scale victories and to really celebrate them, and to celebrate them without food.
I mean, you couldn't have said it better. Basically, non-scale victories are so powerful because it supports our mindset.
Right.
Whereas scale, it literally breaks our mindset. Whatever mindset we have, the scale has now controlled it. So if the scale went up, it's just like a bad day.
I might as well eat now. I'm already up.
Already messed up. But the scale doesn't know that you're more hydrated than you were yesterday. And so now it's going to show a higher number.
Right.
Hydrated. Whereas yesterday you were dehydrated, which is actually not a good thing. So it's showing a lower number on the scale.
Right.
The scale doesn't know that because it's not that intuitive. Right.
Right.
So instead of the scale, definitely focusing on the non-scale victories, because when we're able to make certain shifts in our mind, that's a victory. That's a big win. When you can associate a craving, or even after you've eaten too much, you can associate it to something, that's huge.
Yeah.
Most people walking around overeating and they have no idea why.
Yeah.
I can't stop eating. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
You hear people say that, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? I must be so stressed. But that's still general. Yeah. Everybody's stressed.
Right.
Some people don't use food to manage that stress. So back to the non-scale victories. If you have the money, Carla, go get a massage.
Yes.
And, if you can ask your family member, your friend, your spouse to just rub your back so you can feel good. Non-scale victories do not even have to cost money. Sometimes you can reward yourself with a nice meal. I don't really prefer food related rewards, but sometimes a nice meal, meaning like something that you normally wouldn't purchase because of the price point or something.
Right.
But also things that don't cost money, like just going for a walk. You know what? I'm going to take myself out. I'm going to take myself out tonight and I'm going to treat myself to something, whatever your favorite thing is. And whenever I'm having that conversation, it's more of a dialogue. So I get to know what really gets you excited. What do you like to do?
Right.
where you like to go. And then you can reward yourself with that.
Yeah.
The spa near me that I like to go to is $25 for the entire day. So last 2 weeks ago, I went with a friend. He and I, we just kind of went and hung out. My wife is pregnant, so she's not allowed to go into like the saunas and stuff. So I just kind of went with a friend, and we just
Yeah.
kinda hung out and just did that. That was my victory. That was my win.
Yeah.
And self-care, like take care of yourself,
Yeah.
prioritize yourself. That's
Yeah.
important.
I agree. I mean, like me, I live in LA, so sometimes it's just a treat to just go and do nothing at the beach,
Yeah.
just chill at the beach. And when I was on my weight loss journey, when I was losing weight, I had this jar, and I would often change the picture on the jar. Like it may be a magazine I had, cut out a picture of some sneakers that I wanted, and I would put the sneaker on the jar. I would tape it there, and then I would just periodically, if I had a good week, I would put money in that jar until I got enough money to get those shoes. And then you find something else and you put that on the jar, and that's your next goal. That's your next thing that you're going to get. It may take a little bit longer depending on what it is. Maybe it's a $20 lip gloss, you know what I mean? And not $120 pair of shoes. But those little victories, those non-scale victories that don't revolve around food, those are so special, so I love that. Someone says, what if you just have a bite of something that you shouldn't and you throw the rest away, like those donuts? This is a question from Jonathan.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, Jonathan. And the thing that I just want to reemphasize is kind of what we touched on earlier is how are you feeling about that bite? You know what I mean? Like just kind of sit with that for a moment. Why is it that you can't eat the whole thing? How would you feel if you ate the whole thing? That's where this whole journey begins of shifting our mindset, because that is really what our mindset is. It's our perspective. It's my feeling. It's what I prioritize around that. What is my emotion behind eating it? Oftentimes, if I'm just going to have a bite and put it down, am I really genuinely satisfied, or am I just have I demonized that food and it's like I can't have more than a bite? That's more of the resistance again. I'm resisting the food. So it's okay if that's all you want and you're satisfied with that and you can save some till tomorrow. I'm happy for you. It's all good. But if there's some sort of angst about it, if it's just like, oh, I know I shouldn't be having it, then that's that emotion, that's that stress around food that the tapping can help you relieve, right? So it just does. I won't go into like the whole tapping thing, but there's a way that we really can release the stress around that food to figure out, why do I feel like I can't have any more, or I shouldn't have any more?
Right.
So guilt around just eating it.
Okay. I like that. Why do you even have to have that little bite?
Right. Or is it okay? It may not be right.
Yeah, it may not be. Maybe they just need to bite.
Somebody told no, you can't eat. That's not healthy, or you shouldn't have that. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I know that I'm not a little bite person. If I start, I'm eating the whole thing. That's it. It's gone. Like 2 bites and that's it. And that's 2 bites and the whole thing is gone. Not 2 little nibbles. So I don't mess around with the little pinching and the bites and stuff. It's interesting because sometimes when there's treats in the kitchen, people will go in the kitchen and they'll like break off a little piece. And finally, this one lady was like, why don't you just take the whole thing? Because you're going to come back and get the rest later. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, I am. But it just made me feel better just taking a little pinch and walking away and hoping that it's not there when I go back. But if that thing is there when I go back, I'm going to get the rest of it then, So that's so funny. We have another comment from Lawrence, and he says, oh, I can't give up coffee. Help.
Okay. All right. So coffee, what is it about coffee? Without knowing the whole thing, I'm just going to kind of give you some general things. So people drink coffee because they like the flavor, right? It's nostalgic, it's social, it's the energy that they want from the coffee. And sometimes people just like coffee. It's nothing wrong with just, hey, I like coffee, and that's the end of it. But if you feel that there's a need for your health to stop drinking coffee, and you have some sort of emotional attachment to it, then that may be an issue for you, right? But if you like coffee, and I mean 1 cup or 2 a day, fine. But if you're drinking like 6 and 7 cups of coffee, that might be a problem, and you will want to get to the root of that. And you know intuitively that it's not good for you. I will tell you, a technique that I use with my clients to help them with coffee, specifically sugar and some other things. So it's called and it's very powerful. It's called crowding out. So you don't, no judgment around what you're eating or how much you're eating. You're going to go throughout your day. And let's just say, for instance, without knowing your situation, let's just say you're a 5 cups of coffee type of guy, right? So you're having 5 cups of coffee every day. What you might do is, if you're not much into water, after every cup of coffee, just have that amount of water.
Ah.
Right? So then next cup of coffee, then right after that, just have that amount of water. It's natural. You don't even have to think about it. Most of my clients, I'm gonna say 95%, they just reduce the amount of coffee that they're having. It naturally crowds out the coffee. And water is just one example of what you can use to crowd out habits of eating certain foods that you don't like. So that's just one example. We use the vegetables, we use fruit, we use behaviors to crowd out. So every time you go to the bathroom, you come back and drink more water, or just something like that. And we try to fit these things into your lifestyle. Don't just take it and say, oh, you know what? Every time I have a cup of coffee, I'm gonna have a cup of water.
Yeah.
Figure out what's gonna work for you. What's gonna fit your lifestyle and make it easy for you, so that you can do it, and not because your neighbor's doing it, or because I'm saying it here on this, or because Carla said it. But really, just think. Like, that's what it's all about. It's about my mindset. What's going to work for me? What's going to help me to make it through this journey?
Okay. Awesome. This has been such a great topic. I'm so happy that you came on the show. I want to give you some time to really talk about some of the things that you have going on right now, any coaching that you have, or any products and services that you'd like to share with the audience. Now we're going to give you that time to do that now.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so you guys can find me at jasonwinters.coach. I know jasonwinters.coach, not .com. That's the T guy. And basically what I have is, I do offer one-to-one coaching, but my mainstay is my group coaching, and we kind of have these types of conversations. This is what we do. You show up, we have a weekly group that we run, and if you can't make it, then we have a replay, and you can catch the replay and just do the work. Like, we actually go through the tapping, we break it down, and try to discuss that. So in the examples that we talked about here is the coffee, right? We can tap on the coffee, get to the root causes of stuff like that. And that's pretty much what we do. And you can read more of my story on the website. And if you have any questions, just contact me. I'd love to answer any questions that you may have.
Awesome. Well, hopefully people will join in. I mean, you've really got a great thing that you have going on here, because people really need this, and people have to be willing to admit to themselves that I kind of have a problem, and I'm realizing, even here, sitting here talking to you, and I'm like a fitness person. I have my whole health and fitness movement, but I'm not perfect. And I never want to come off as somebody who's gotten it all together. And you've lost 90 pounds. I've lost over 50 pounds. But it's a journey that never ends. For me, it's a journey that never ends. We all have our things that trigger us, and we all have those things that we think that we love and need and can't really, fight it off. And so something like what you're doing with the EFT, and like doing it in a group setting where people are like-minded and they all are struggling with similar things in different ways, I just think that that's a wonderful thing that you're offering. So you guys, make sure you look up Jason Winters, www.jasonwinters.coach, not .com.
Right.
That's where you can find him. You also have an Instagram and a Facebook. Are those all the same?
Coach. Yeah.
Okay. jasonwinters.coach on all social media platforms, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say before we get out of here?
I do. I just want to say that, mindset mastery is possible. A lot of people think that it means that the challenge doesn't exist anymore, but basically what it means is that you recognize what the challenge is. You create an awareness around it, and you take that knowledge with your personal determination, and you find tools that you can use to reach your goals. Don't think that the cravings are going to go away, or the emotional eating is going to go away, but you can find tools that make it easier for you. And if you guys have any questions, I'm here to support. You got this. You got this.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for being here, and hopefully we'll have you back next season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jason.
All right. Thanks, Carla. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So you guys, that's it for episode number 8 of the Carla Palmer Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you come back next Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Mario Choice joining us next week, and he's going to talk about his struggle with being homeless and getting out of that, and really just being able to rise and get out of a challenging situation. So we've all been in those situations, and I want you guys to join us next Sunday with Mario Choice. I will be doing the flyers and all of the updates on all of my social media platforms. And until then, we'll see you next week. Okay. Have a wonderful week. Be peaceful and prosperous. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.